Some of you have maybe taken the neural reset therapy classes and wondering, should you take the QAT class, the quantum alignment technique class? And some of you have taken the quantum alignment technique class and wondering, should you take the neural reset therapy classes? And so let's talk about some of the differences, the strengths of both, and where they overlap. What I can say right now is when I started developing the QAT work, because I developed the neural reset therapy process about almost 15 years ago, when I came across the QAT concept, I realized that this does things that neural reset therapy cannot do. And what I found is that it's not either or, but they're actually perfectly complementary. They come together as a powerful team for you as a therapist to do great, wondrous things for your clients. You can do both the QAT and the NRT in a session with a client. You don't have to do them separately. And like NRT, if you've taken the NRT classes, maybe you haven't, immediately, instantaneously removes trigger points from muscles and tendons and ligaments and periosteum and all kinds of tissues. I mean, the trigger points just disappear in a few seconds. And it's just marvelous. You don't have to stretch the person, you don't have to get tools out and grind on their tissues or anything like that. It is a fabulous process. It's very light. It doesn't hurt your client and it doesn't hurt you to do the NRT work. And it's really, really fast. You don't spend 15 minutes on working on somebody's rhomboid area in their back. You use a few seconds on each side and you're done. So NRT is very quick for instant pain removal. I mean, nearly instantaneous pain removal for all types. Now, when the QAT work doesn't instantaneously remove trigger points always. What it does, it introduces a process where they gradually dissolve over a period of time. It might take a number of days for the trigger points to completely be removed from the area. So it's not instantaneous in that regard. But it does affect the trigger points in the long run. Another thing is in NRT, we can reset the muscle to the nervous system, but it doesn't necessarily connect it to the sensorimotor cortex. So you can reset the muscle, it's free, it's clear, it can elongate again, has any trigger points or trigger bands in them, but you'll notice when you test the muscle for its contractile strength, it's not the same as the other side, or it's very weak in its effect. With the QAT work, we can reconnect it back to the brain, and the muscle will instantaneously work in a few seconds. And so when I saw this effect, when I was working with the QAT in the beginning, I was just totally shocked that I'd never seen anything like that happen, both with manual therapies or with energetic therapies for this instantaneous reconnection. Now, in the advanced NRT classes that I teach, we correct movement patterns. And it's a fabulous process. It's kind of slow, but it takes time, but it works really, really well. The QAT works faster. It works really, really well, but it works faster. You can actually do both. I've done both the NRT and the QAT process to restore movement patterns, and people have lost them due to surgeries, accidents, strokes, or just improving their skill sets as an athlete, a top athlete. So you can use both. Both improve those with neuromuscular disorders. The neural reset therapy and the QAT both improve them in slightly different ways, but then there's a bunch of overlap between the two. But you know, I wouldn't live without doing either of those things. I do both. And one of the things we can't do very well with the NRT work is organ work. But QAT excels in organ work. I have referrals from doctors that have, their patients have some organ issues, like eyes and things like that. And they do their testing before, and after I work on them, they test again, they test good. Then how their organs are working. You see these organ improvements with the QAT work. Another thing that NRT cannot do is remote work. With the QAT, because we're working now with quantum fields, it doesn't matter what the time is, what the space-time continuum is. You can work long distance with the quantum work. We ship some clips to the person, and we keep a couple of them, and they are quantum entangled, so you can use the clips in real time with somebody on the other side of the world and do marvelous things with the clips being touched on different parts of the client's body while you're using a surrogate for work here, wherever you're living. Now, so to sum it up, there's a certain amount of overlap between NRT and QAT, but if you have a client that comes in and they're very materially oriented and they're in a lot of pain with their neck or back or something, you certainly want to do the NRT work first, because that will quiet down all that pain for them. And so if you're, most of you out there, they work on a cash basis. And so the client won't come back to you if you haven't addressed their neck pain or their back pain in that session, right then and there. So you need to do NRT for those who are more solid in this world and want instantaneous pain relief. But for those who have had like chronic stuff for a long time and they've had a lot of manual therapy, you really need to do the quantum work, because you can reconnect those tissues back to the brain and neutralize the trauma which is preventing the healing of those tissues. If a person's had a lot of manual therapy and they're not healing, then why do the same thing over and over again in different ways with manual therapy? The quantum field will know how to address this and do something for the client they haven't had before. So it neutralizes that trauma and reconnects them to the brain, so the tissues have a chance now to function. And QAT is also for those people that come in that are really sensitive. They don't really like any kind of deep pressure or stretching and all this kind of stuff. They don't want to move much, or they're too frail to do much with movement, which you do in NRT, because we're actually moving people and on the table. And for those people who are more accepting of more of a spiritual or energetic approach, QAT is perfect for them, because they're going to see changes in real time. So I would suggest that you really learn both therapies. So if you're more inclined to be more energetic, learn the QAT work and you'll become a really fabulous therapy in that field, working in that reality. If you're more material and you're more physical based, then learn the NRT and then learn the QAT. Because you're going to see things with the QAT you can't do with physical manipulation of the tissues. So that's just a brief summary of some of the differences between QAT and NRT, and I hope that you have the ability to come to the classes and learn these things so you can really help your clients in a much more potent, easy, and comprehensive way.